People can't randomly jump in though.
Oh,
Probably a smart idea, yeah.
Channel switched. User was moved to your channel.
Now only the right people can jump in it.
Well played.
Well played. How come? Why do you can't see it yet? But in 5 minutes, when you do see it, one, you tell me if I sound horrible, and two, can't figure out what this image on the right is supposed to be. I link box, but I'll worry about that later.
Image on the right's probably my picture for the cast.
I'm going to communicate with Father Bill to ask him to invite me to his lobby. I guess Cobra command.
User joined your channel.
Lobby. I probably.
you thought you'd get away that easy.
I mean, figure out who leads Cobra command. Let's figure it out. Hey, I can put it on the screen. Sure. While we get this
Cobra
ready.
Command's read by Critter and Skitty. Looks like that's their team leaders.
Did you figure out how to update the graphics?
Sorta. Here, a sail. Here's our map. We're gonna. While people wait for this exciting game, and I wait invites. Put it on a poll. Nominate. Nice. That's what we got up tonight. The very first match.
So Division G, I'm probably not expecting some insane plays here tonight, but definitely get to see some interesting new faces and maybe some new interesting takes on what we're going to see here as far as drop 1 goes.
Yeah, this drop is, I mean, drop 1 is drop 1. It's often just a messy fight, messy brawl, especially in the lower divisions. That's what you're going to see. One thing which you always want, at least to consider, is control, is managing the battle as best you can. And in this situation, control would be a range mech. So let's say both teams just roll out and kind of set up on their side of the hill. If neither team has any kind of range, they're just sitting there waiting for one team or the other to push. However, if this red team brings a range guy and he sets up and he just starts like he's doing damage, forces that team to have to move away, take cover, back up. He's doing work on them, and eventually they're going to have to make a decision to push. So that's what I mean by control. So that team, the blue team, has given away all control by not having any kind of range there to fight.
I think what you want to look for in Div G is the up-and-comers. Who are the starlets? Who are the wonder kids? You know, somebody's going to step up and be a quality player that is a diamond in the rough. That's what it's all about, babe. That's what it's all about, baby.
Let's look at their roster. So I'm going to pull up first the CS, is that how you say it? Rangers?
I'll believe it.
The non-Viking word. Not used to saying non-Viking word. I will link you so you can see it as. So this is their roster. At least it was when the Jarl's list kind of trawled the MRBC website.
So we do have some pretty good percentiles here.
Yeah, we got a few really good players. You can see that one bird and that Ranagane.
I would say Ranaganj. I've never met him.
Oh, that's a J.
Or them,
Ranaganj. Yeah. So those two players, they play all the weights. It's kind of hard to tell what they'll bring. Maybe everything. Maybe they'll be everywhere tonight. But
yeah, Ranaganj looks like he's a little more, light-based, but yeah. pretty clean across the board as far as players go.
And if you actually look at it from those, no, got others, never mind. But yeah, those two guys, we can watch out for them. See if bring something special to the team. And let's look at the other team. So we have Cobra. Now, what's kind of interesting is the roster we pulled from them only has 8 active players on it. So I don't that
Their roster is a little bit bigger on the MRBC website now.
okay. So we might be a little bit outdated. Based off of the 8 active players they did have, they've looks like they've got a couple, about 3 guys who are probably going to throw down tonight.
Yeah, I recognize the name. Arias, Suntag, Vagisil.
Oh, you recognize them, Mark?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're players. I gotta get the assaults in here. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Cobra Command's updated roster is closer to 17.
Okay. Well, we will, I'm not gonna look at it. To see who shows up tonight and who surprises us. I'm going to, see. Ergod was telling me my mic is cut. Volume. So I want to show them the Polar Highlands map and just kind of talk about what can happen on it. I'm going to try to fix my mic real quick.
So as Dane said before here, it's pretty basic stuff here. We're probably going to get each team bum rushing the circle, probably looking for a little bit of time supremacy. Without any ranged mechanic, they're probably just going to look for maybe a high ground or low ground push. Their lights will probably pop scout a little bit early to kind of get some intel. And generally what you see in Drop 1 is no big surprise to anybody here. It's very close range, kind of knife fighting brawl. Occasionally there'll be a little more laser vomit, maybe ISE or mediums. I mean, I think watching D4 play against Father Bill's team, they looked, Father Bill's team specifically looked quite good, Drop 1. I actually thought they were going to pull it out, but it was a little unfortunate. It was a little closer victory than D4 I think wanted, but I think 1 CR definitely looked like they can definitely hit some shots. That being their first match, I think they've come quite a ways. As far as, like, you know, I've watched Father Bill stream and I've watched his little team grow, and it looks like they're doing very well. I wouldn't let a 5-0 completely take the wind out of your sails. I think D4 looks to be the favorite in Div G this season. As far as mech composition, you might see a little hotter mechs this time around because we are on Polar Highlands. You might see a little more tankier mechs, get those Wolfhounds out because they do run a little warmer. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to go.
Alright, Assail, you should be receiving an invite to their lobby right now.
Invite received. Oh, that was a friend request. I can't read.
It's alright. Literacy is not part of what being a mech warrior is all about.
No, if you can aim,
yeah.
you know, you
We'd
guys gotta get good.
We'd be in the science cast or something, I don't know. Alright, you're in Assail. Let me change the screens up. If I remember how. Oh yeah. Hopefully I fixed my volume a little bit and people can hear. It's like we about got ourselves a game. One interesting thing is you can see right here we've got the Crucis Rangers are all in the same unit, whereas the Cobra Command's kind of a little mixed force. They got a K-Commer in there, got a 1 CbR. I don't know. That maybe they're the same unit, just like in different factions. That's probably it.
I would imagine, yeah.
That's what it looks like. But we are dropping! And we're not even radio casting, because we don't do that. That's not what happens over here.
Quit saying it, dude. You're gonna jinx
I'm
us.
not gonna jinx. We're too good.
So Father Bill, a longtime streamer, pretty big part of the community. It's nice to see him making an effort to get out into the comp scene, get his team a little more recognized.
Yeah, I've heard his name in a lot of places. It'll be good to see how he and his team perform. It's important to remember this is a team game, and you know, a lot of people who might not be in themselves heroes can do heroic things together. So let's see what we got here. Cobra Command has decided to go with a Huntsman, a Nova, a Stormcrow, and a Shadowhawk 2D2 as their mechs. Shadowhawk
Duping
2D2,
commandos.
kind of a weird mech for this, just because this is such a cold map. You think you'd want to bring something hotter, like a laser vomit, rather than that 2D2, which is going to probably be ballistic and SRMs. What do we have over here with
So the Cobra Command, they brought a Nova. They've duped down on commandos. It looks like they wanting to take early supremacy for the circle. Again, a Shadowhawk 2D2, a Wolfhound, Missling, Stormcrow, Huntsman coming out. So we're looking at a little more meta deck.
Alright. Yeah,
And those commandos did get the circle by 1 second.
Okay.
Looks like that Cheetah's scouting.
Both teams have taken the circle. Neither one's kind of trading with each other. How about strikes? No strikes are out yet either. This is, as I mentioned earlier, now would be a really good time if a team did have range. They could just kind of set up back into the side on one of these hills and shoot down at the team and get free damage. But it doesn't look like either team brought that, or if they did, they're not participating yet.
Father Bill looks like he's actually like a PPC adder.
Alright. Looks like the Recon Rangers are pushing out. Looks like they want to go. They don't want to sit around for this.
The call has been made. They're pushing.
They're being led by that Huntsman and Other Cheetah. Other Cheetah pulled out. Huntsman's kind of by himself up front, with the second one behind him.
There's some flamers coming in from the Stormcrow, interesting enough.
Which
looks like they're focusing legs.
Oh, did that Huntsman shut down? I think he did. So that was their first target call. Both teams took down mechs around the same time. That's good. We want to see who can get the snowball rolling. Damages are looking pretty similar.
It looks like we kind of have two smaller fights going on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of different mechs fighting a lot of different other mechs.
Blackavar is lagged. He's still putting out damage to Edward Scissorhands. Him and that Misslink seem to be doing quite a bit of work.
Looks like
oh, Critter got the kill on that commando with his commando there.
The Rangers are going down a little bit. Cobra Command's taking the lead, taking the snowball.
It looks like, yeah, 1 CR is 3 mechs down.
Yep.
Health is definitely in favor of the Cobra Command. They do have a lot of hurt mechs, a lot of lagged mechs, it looks like. So 1 CR, it looks like their focus might have been off a little bit. But there is a lot of hurt mechs on this Cobra Command side.
The key to this battle is focus targeting and getting those early kills. Because it just snowballs. Drop 1 is a huge snowball. The ball's just rolling down the hill, and if you can throw those kills into it, you are going to get ahead and you are going to win. And so it could be like this, where it's an 8-6 decision, but it might not have really been, or it might have been a lot more closer than it looks, just because the team that won got the snowball rolling. I have to try to fill this thing in now, so I can get the
Yeah.
scores. So you just talk.
Voxera Hazen definitely coming in with a big swing here. Almost 600 damage in that Stormcrow, which for drop 1 is extremely huge. Father Bill's team, we got some pretty respectable damages coming out of that Arctic Cheetah. That Mislinks as well carried their own. The Urban Mech actually did top damage for their team. So that tankability, keeping him alive, getting his damage out.
Irby's really good. You just can't soak streaks. Make sure you update the graphics for the scoreboard.
Yep, I'm putting it in.
Cobra Command's Huntsman, the first guy to come over the hill with 76 damage, so he got his alpha out. I mean, he did his job. But they put him to sleep pretty quick. Focus target kind of looked like it kind of fell apart after that, but I think a pretty clean sweep for Cobra Command drop 1 here. So we are now going to be moving into drop 2, Alpine Peaks. This is Conquest. It's traditionally more of a range map. It'll be interesting to see how Cobra Command sets up, if they take more of a traditional range, or if they're looking to use some more of that clan tech to get a little more range here and there. I don't know if Father Bill's team has played a particularly ranged map yet.
I can't get the graphic to update. I'm not sure why it's not. Alright, so that was a interesting fight. We did see neither team really had control, but the Crucis Rangers, that is right? I don't want to be calling them the wrong name. There's so many R's in it. Let's double check. The Crucis Recon. The Crucis Recon, they took the initiative and they just pushed. There's nothing wrong with that. You can often find a team kind of out of position if you push them hard and your team's in position. Focus fire, get those kills, get that first medium, get that second medium, get that third medium. Just burn them all down as quick as you can. It didn't quite work out for them, but you know that's a hard, rough fight to control. And in a match like Alpine, which we're looking at right now, it's going to be very different. There's ample opportunities to control a fight like this. It's as you were mentioning earlier, it's very ranged. It's got a lot of locations, a lot of peak profile hills, and there's a lot of options with the mechs we have out there right now on ways to control it. What we really want to look for in this is if they go for a control strat, how are they going to do it? If you're team 2, the 3 you want to control are going to be Sigma, Theta, Kappa, and if you're team 1, you're probably going to send a mech to go get Gamma, and obviously you get Epsi, and then you're going to fight for control of one of these other 3 caps.
The only thing with Gamma is it's so far out, it really kind of hurts your team's ability to play that sneaky early cap game.
Yeah, you have to take someone out and just go get it if that's what you want to do. But if you think it's going to be a range game, if it's going to be so, you have to get it. You can't. They can't ignore Gamma. Now but that brings up a good point because there could be a mismatch. They could be assuming that the team 2 does take range. They set up range along the map and try to control these points at one of these locations, one of these hills. And if team 1 decides they don't want to control Gamma, and they do think their team will try that, they could just brawl. They could have a laser bomb, brawl push, and roll right into them. And if the team doesn't respond well to that, if they get too close too fast on the mechs, if the mechs are too clumped up on the range team, the brawlers will just roll them over. It'll be a great, glorious victory for them and their people. and I assume there will be celebrations for ages to come. Now, that said, if a team's ready for it, if they know it's coming, they can set up as well, and they can just rip apart a Brawl team coming in there. They can use the range, use the location, use each other, make a wide circle, and really just shut them down. So there's a lot going on in this map. It's going to be interesting to see what each team does and how they, manage what they think the other team will do and manage themselves accordingly to that.
There's a lot of great elevations to fight from in this map. So, I mean, like you say, a mid-range laser vomit push could be very, very effective. They're just asking about us if we're ready to go, Dane.
Yeah, we're ready. Can't quite get my overlay to respond right. I am updating things in here, but nothing's showing up. It's a little annoying. I might have to ask someone about it after this drop.
Yeah, I'm sure Poopin can help you. He's great at that stuff. Shout out to DeFi's Poopinshire. Fantastic guy. You the best.
Alright, let me make sure I get the game up. Sorry about the scoreboard. It's 1 for Cobra Commanders.
You can type something out in OBS if you go to make a new scene and you put in text. Then just type it out real quickly and put it in the corner. Just an idea. It's better than nothing.
So dropships are in.
On Cobra's side, we got a linebacker, commando, two commandos actually, a Marauder 5D, an assassin, bushwhacker. So to me, this looks pretty brawly.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to want to push in.
This does not look like a control strat. They got 2 mechs actually going to Gamma, I think. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, both commandos are running to Gamma. That might be a little overkill, but maybe if they get back in time, it doesn't matter, and they'll cap that twice as fast. What do we got over here on the Recon?
1 CbR. It looks like they're set up for range. They have a Panther, an Enforcer, 2 Hellbringers, Raven, a Huntsman, a Shadowcat, and an Arctic Wolf.
Right, that's a interesting use of the Raven, but they get it somewhere good. I mean, it could definitely be a pain. So what we're dealing with now is if these here comes, you think that brawl push is just coming straight in on that linebacker, or is he gonna stop?
Well, that Hunchback is PPCs, so it's hard to say.
Let's back up.
They may just want to be. They may just maybe want to take a more forward position to try and trade these out.
So the 2 commandos are full capping Gamma. They're done now. Looks like they're not returning to the team the way they came. They're going, oh, maybe they'll go through the mountains. We'll see where they go. So we've got some trading from Recon, Crucis Recon.
Edward Scissorhands taking a little bit of early damage here. Trying to get some PPC scratch out, but it looks like those ER lasers are kind of shutting them down.
Alright, and we've got that Panther actually took a tiny bit of damage, but I'm not, no one's, ooh. That assassin just got hurt.
Oh,
nice
yeah,
strike.
he did.
Wow.
Excellent place strike by 1CR.
Dropped him down to 56%.
That was actually Forza.
So what you have now is here's a team that I think wants to push. I think. And they're all balled up. They're kind of over here getting shot at. They need to come up with a decision. They need to come up with a path. And
it looks like they want to swing left.
And while they're doing that, they're getting shot. They're getting scratched up. We also have those 2 commandos who have now capped Kappa behind them, and I'm assuming they're going to flank when this happens, when the push arrives, which I'm thinking will happen. But we've got Recon is pulling back, although they did lose their Raven. Linebackers just running out there for the Cobra command. The linebacker and the Marauder are just going right in. If they're going to get isolated out there a little bit, if these guys can just focus them down right now, they could take 2 of their heavies out of the fight. That linebacker's getting shreked. He's down to 66%. However,
the assassins move. Yeah, the rest of their team is moving in now. The staggered push is coming. Kappa's being recaptured by 1 CR, so there's 1 light out of the fight. It looks like, oh, Azazel was going to go for him, but it looks like he's coming in to get that.
Those commandos are now in the back as well. So those heavies pushed a little early, I thought, but they didn't get them down. And that inability to kill them is what's going to probably hurt Recon the most right now.
Yeah, they should have been repositioning before that. Before they, like, as soon as they seen those 2 come in, they should have started to reposition. The range isn't going to help at a few hundred meters, so...
So it's now just a brawl, an out brawl. I'm not sure if either team has fully called targets, but Recon just fell so quickly that the momentum fell away from them. Being down that Raven early on hurt a lot, because that's a light, and the 2 commando lights just got in there on their backs, and you know, that's going to pull people off the fight. That's going to make people panic. And then the push, like you said, was a little bit stalled, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. The Crucis Recon, if they could have killed those 2 heavies and then backed up, repositioned, that would have been a lot better for them. I think the Raven, I understand why they took it because of the map Alpine, but I'm of the feeling that it's just not a strong enough mech to take here. And what we're seeing from the Team 1, the Cobra Commando, you've got 2 commandos and a assassin, so they're really running 3 very deadly close range lights, basically. And in a fight like they wanted, those are going to be a huge pain, and I don't see a lot of there weren't any mechs that could really screen that for the Recon, especially with that Raven pretty much out of the fight.
You gotta give it to Voxera. That was a MERM 30 Marauder, so I mean, an unconventional build doing some serious damage there. Cleaning up some serious kills.
Yeah, and you can see that Raven did no damage, so he didn't even get a chance to fight. He just he got killed. And the hitboxes in that Raven are really rough. Like, nothing on the pilot. It's just it's a hard mech to bring, and maybe not the best mech for this fight. And then the Cobra Command only lost that 1 mech, the linebacker. They probably should have also lost that Marauder, who, as you mentioned, did a lot of work for them. If those 2 mechs were taken out and they backed up, that could have been a little bit different, that fight.
I wouldn't go as far to say 1 CR lost it in the mech lab. I think there was, a couple of mechanical things they could have improved on to help. Because there was a lot of damaged mechs there. They did a reasonably well job at putting damage down at the guys that were coming into them. But unfortunately, once that brawl came through, they couldn't handle the pressure. It just kind of fell apart on target focusing.
Boys, I'm being notified by chat that they are the Razors.
Okay. Yeah, I think
and
someone
I have a question for you.
Yep.
Who's impressing you so far from each team?
I'm gonna work on fixing this sale so you answer for me.
Not a giant surprise, but I think Voxera really shining here. I think both matches has really showed the mettle of their worth. Definitely seems to be a slightly above G pilot. I think there's no doubting that. But definitely doing some work. I think as far as 1 CR goes, I think that 1 bird doing very well. they definitely have a few other players that are definitely have some great shots. So it'll be interesting as these matches progress and get a little heavier, a little more armor, a little more torso twisting, and hopefully most of these guys can take a win here. So Frozen City Conquest, definitely going to be probably a little more range coming out of 1CR. I think Cobra Command is definitely... They might look to brawl again. I mean, this map definitely has the lanes to do the hiding, to get those maneuvers and to close the ground. I think a high-skill team could probably shut down a relatively harsh push, but this being DivG, it's a big learning curve for these guys. This is their first season, you know, so there's going to be a little bit of adjustment. Learning where the good spots on the map are and learning how to avoid, you know, brawling teams, how to reposition and use the terrain to your advantage. Little things like that are all things we all learn as we're coming up through this stuff. As everybody knows, you gotta fall down to get back up, and, you know. So I think 1CR is definitely doing a good job of that. They're definitely keeping their chins up. They just definitely seem to be, you know, not waffling too hard and trying their hardest, so. Cobra Command, being a relatively unknown team, they definitely have some talent here. I think it's going to be very interesting to see them go up against D4.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned before when we were starting out that match, there were two options. There was a range and a brawl option, and it was kind of, you know, who goes what and how they manage it. Obviously, the Cobra Command folks went brawl. I mean, that was a pretty much a brawl, maybe brawl with Overwatch kind of a move, and they ran in there. And the Crucis Recon guys, they went more of a range deck, and they just didn't quite kind of pull it off the way they needed to. And you know, that comes down to sort of the rock paper scissors calculus of these drops, and a lot of it depends on your ability, you know, your practice, your scrims, and your kind of muscle memory on what to do when a certain situation hits you. So for them, you would practice receiving that brawl push. You'd practice spurting out. You'd practice shooting the mechs as they come in you as you scrim another skilled team over the week. And then for the other team, you know, they practice, you know, the positioning, the pathing, how they get there, and then focus firing and rolling the hill, or which is also very important because, you know, you want your brawl push to be there at the same time. You don't want a staggered push, and then you want your commandos to show up in the back at the same time. So there's a lot that goes into this that I think that some people watching might not be aware of, and often the preparation, the ability to find teams that test you and that force you to kind of rethink your plans over and over and re-practice what they are is what separates the winning team from the losing team in many of these contests, where, you know, raw skill isn't going to be the only thing that can carry you to the end of the day.
No, this is very much an 8v8 game, and a lot of the strategy, you know, a lot of the mech selection, you can get out-decked, you know, you can get out-stratted. And that, you know, as good as aim as you have, at the end of the day, you can definitely get outplayed before the game even starts. We got a green board here on Frozen City. Both these guys look like they're ready, so...
I restarted my overlay. I'm hoping that it'll work now. Just need to double check how many kills they first Crucis Recon got in drop 1. Find that on just a second. Got 2. And you can tell them we're good to go. Yeah, it's still not updating.
Are you trying to get the graphic working?
Well, there's a MWO overlay control where I plug all this information in, and then it's supposed to update through the overlay I use, and it's not working. It's supposed to do the math for me too, so we know exactly how much each team has, but it's not happening. Which is unfortunate. But let's get to the fight. We're at Frozen City. Frozen City is a interesting map. I have seen some amazing brawl pushes in it, but at the same time, you're also going to get a lot of range fights as well. One of the hugest factors in this one, though, is we are dealing with command mechs, which are 100-ton mechs, and they do not include the Kodiak. So you've got a dire wolf, you've got a king crab, and
the Atlas.
The Atlas, yes, and they make you slow. And so it's hard to have a brawl deck when you're basically leaving one of your mechs behind. It makes it so if you push into them aggressively, it's going to end up being a 7-on-8 as you push into their 100-ton mech and you leave your 100-ton mech in the dust. So that's why I feel like we'll see more trading, but who knows. So we do have two mechs over here for the first Crucis Rangers. We have the Viper and we have the Arctic Wolf. Both of these mechs to me are more kind of a brawly pseudo-light mech. So that bespeaks kind of a cap game. And they also have Nightgear, Warhammer, Thunderbolt 5SS. So I'm thinking they're going for a little bit more range. What do you have over there with Cobra Command?
Oh, we got some early crowds coming in.
Oh, we've got, yeah. Sorry, go.
Cobra Command does look like they're set up very much for brawl here. They're looking like they're ready to push in, and they are going straight across the gully at these guys.
So right now, they're out in the open in that center. They don't have the range to return fire. This is a great time for first Crucis Recon. They need to step up. They need to step forward, and they need to punish these guys. They need to be making them pay.
Yeah, it looks more like 1CR is trying to fall back and reposition, when really they should be trying to get a few shots out here.
And they've, unfortunately, for them, Cobra Command is now past. They've now crossed it. So they're in the foothills right under them. They're not going to be able to get the shots. They didn't make them bleed. So this is going to get ugly. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have these brawlers on top of these not brawlers, and
yeah, disposable down to 72%. So they are doing a decent damage of damaging these guys on their way in. We got the Camo Man down to 80% in that Thunderbolt 5SS. So, but like you say, the brawl is happening now, so we're going to see some interesting stuff here.
They stayed grouped up. They needed to fade away. The Crucis Recon needed to fall, fade away. Instead, they stood their position the entire time. So
yeah, the best thing you can do when you are ranging against a brawl deck is just spread out, so they can only focus one guy at a time. Staying clumped up like that is definitely not going to help. It definitely lends to their push deck.
Because this is definitely a situation that didn't have to go this way. They could have spread out a little bit more. They could have stepped forward, got the shots on those guys as they crossed, and then as they got a little bit closer, faded back, spread out, created a whole bunch of angles, made it very difficult for the enemy team to brawl them. For example, when they pushed them here, all of first Crucis Recon was in one group. So that means it's very easy for them to, you know, like dominoes, one guy, next guy, next guy, next guy for target calling. But if you had one guy way out to the right and one guy way out to the left, you create this distance between them so that when they get the guy way out on the right, they now have to run all the way back to like 500 meters to the left to get the next guy. And so it punishes them because they don't have that range. And it's unfortunate that they didn't do that. You can see they still fought well. They have, what, 4 or 5 mechs on their...
very much so on their last leg.
That were beat up.
Had they spread out, I think they very well may have taken that. Again, Wolfgang, and that Bushwhacker doing some serious work, 600 damage. Voxera, another 600 damage game out of that Marauder. So definitely seems to be a staple of their kind of early game play. But it was an excellent push executed by those guys. No waiting. You gotta appreciate that. So.
And if anyone's tuning in, let me see. Maybe I can just add the number in, like Harkinian said. It's 3-0 for Cobra Command at the moment. First Crucis Recon Razors have succeeded in killing, I think, 4 mechs now in the first 3 drops. So it's a little rough, but like we just saw in that drop, a lot of Cobra Command was very beat up. So it wasn't like they didn't fight. You know, they weren't putting out good work. They weren't doing damage. They were. They just, you know, having essentially a healthy brawl team jump on top of a healthy range team, it's never going to go well for the range team. You've almost will never see that turn around, which is, you know, unfortunate.
So we're now moving on to Crimson Strait. Definitely favors Team 2, I think. Team 1's pretty hard to fight from. It might be interesting to see 1CR try and use that range again to see if they can get those damage numbers in. There's a lot more area for them to have to cover as Team 1 from Cobra Command. So I think 1CR might have a little bit better chance at controlling this map.
I've made a 3. Oh, how sad. All right, so yeah, we've got a Crimson Strait up. Crimson Strait is a really hard, it's a hard map for Team 1. Team 1, they get Gamma, right? They get Epsi, but taking Theta is not an easy task at all. Team 2, they get Sigma and they get Kappa easily, but they also get the island and they get the top ramp. From the top ramp, you can easily control Theta. You can prevent the enemy team from taking it. You can hurt them when they try. And then from the
island as well.
Yeah,
control Epsilon.
Island's a very powerful position. We've seen Island be used in comp ever since Crimson Strait has been released. Definitely a range location. That's definitely a range setup with the Island. We've seen it used 100,000 times. And it puts a lot of the initiative on Team 1 if they set up with range at the island, range at the upper area, the platform. And so what does Team 1 do? Do they do a saddle push? Do they push through the saddle? You know, do they push through the tunnel? Do they push out here? It's a lot rougher for them. They have to commit, and they have to come at an angle where they can catch the other team off guard. If the other team is able to kind of flow away from them, use terrain, use this. There's a little hill like right here. There's a hill there as well. If they use those properly, if they can really just damage any team trying to push this way. If the team pushes out here, and the people up top just rotate away, they get lots of shots beneath and above, and people they keep pushing, they keep running and running and running. So maybe they set up range, maybe put some range here, maybe they put some range here for trading. A lot of ifs, a lot of maybes.
I mean, we've definitely seen successful saddle pushes where they can catch that guy on Kappa that's protecting off guard. And with that being said, you know, the guy on the island's got to be really sharp and really attentive to the guy on Kappa, letting him know, hey, you got some incoming homies, you better get out of there.
Boys, we have a bit of a situation. In the last drop, there was somebody with a Viper Medusa. And while I like that mech, I'm just curious, what do you guys think?
Oh, that's I think I'm not an MRBC ref, but that's a problem for them. I think
unless they want to redrop it, they might be able to redrop it.
but it was
I
the
don't know.
team that lost that had it. So
Okay.
I don't think the other team will want to redrop it. I think there might be a point penalty, one or the others, or one or the other. That's unfortunate, but that does happen. It's happened before. It's nothing, especially in this division, new teams playing, you're gonna run into that, and it's you know, it's if people are cool about it. Obviously, it didn't really affect the outcome of that match, so I don't know. We'll see. Everybody's learning. Nothing to be mad about or anything. In the past, Isengrim has done some very aggressive brawls on this map. We've just taken a whole brawl team, pushed across water hard, and we've had some success with that when brawling I think was a little bit tighter. We've also done the opposite. We've pushed a hard brawl just right through the water here, and that could work as well. That could catch them off guard if the other team doesn't know how to move or where to go, or they don't see it in time. They could end up with a bunch of brawlers right in their face. And I feel like based off of what we've seen so far in this matchup between these two teams, I think brawling probably goes to both team strengths. I think at the level of kind of coordination and that they have, the practice they have, the experience they have, I think brawling is a much is a kind of fight style that will work here. I think range can definitely beat brawl and will beat brawl, but I think that requires a little bit more coordination, a little bit more practice than range does. No, than brawling does. There we go.
Yeah, range is more sorry, I'm doing the same thing. Brawl's a little more synergistic, where range is, you definitely have to have that communication level. You have to know when to bail, and really to optimally shoot and keep your ranges where they're optimally being effective.
So like if they send a brawl right through the heart, let's say they do that, and if they set up, they have a guy up here, they have a guy here, they have a guy here, maybe they had a guy here, and all of them are shooting at this brawl team. Where does the brawl team go? Does the brawl team, do they roll up on this guy and then this guy just kicks out? Now he's up here. So now what do they do? Do they keep following him? Because if they do that, they're still just getting shot at by everybody else. Do they roll up to this guy here? This guy, he falls back down to here, and now they're as they're doing all this running, these people are just pushed up, and it basically just have this kind of flow of this wide arc of this team just shooting them regardless of what direction they go into. So that's a perfect kind of range situation. That's what they want. Thanks, Arcanian. So you're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, you legit are. So both of these guys are ready. They got green boards here. Just wait on you to.
Yeah, let them tell. Good, let's fight. But at the same time, if a team doesn't rotate out that well, if they're slow to the calls, that purple team can just eat them up and just push all the way along, pretty much knocking the team down like dominoes. So.
And I mean, you have to give it to Cobra Command. Their focus fire tonight has been extremely on point. They've definitely been very aggressive. They've had a couple weird little straggles here and there, but they seem, as the night's progressing, they seem to be getting more and more, more and more on point and more ready to go. A little less lag between the times, and they seem to be pushing very strongly.
Well,
for a Div G unit, they definitely seem very strong.
And they have gone brawl both times, so they've got a theme and they're sticking to it, and that's also good especially for a young team. You don't want to overload people with too much at once. Find something you're good at, make it your bread and butter. Being informed, you pronounce it Crucis, I think, not Crucis.
Crucis.
Crucis. So
well, we'll just say 1 CR. Nailed it. 1 CR, 100%.
All right. So
Oh.
from one CRR, we've got a Mistlynx and a Wolfhound, 2 Annihilators, Warhammer, Nightjeer. So this looks to me a Bushwhacker, kind of like a ballistic push deck. Annihilators are super slow though. What do we got from Cobra Command?
Duped Mad Cats, not a big surprise there. It's a great push deck. Both Bs, so probably Daka, Voxera, again with that Marauder, so you can guarantee there's going to be some Merm action. We do have an Adder, which is a little different, but I imagine will be relatively effective, probably Streaks. A Kintaro and a Bushwhacker, an Arctic Cheetah to round the team out. So definitely looking again like Brawl.
All right. So we've got first Crucis Rangers. They're not going island, it looks like, at all. They're pushing up towards the center platform, or the platform up top towards Saddle.
Danar Fowl taking a little bit of scratch trying to snag Theta early, but got pushed out.
No control on Theta. Looks like Cobra Command is not going through tunnel. They're wading out onto into the city. Now,
Looks like, yeah, they want to take Theta by force, I think, then probably roll up the ramp.
if Crucis was range and spread out, they would be able to punish Cobra Command right now. But as they're not, are those Lerms? As they're not, there's no trading going on other than a stray shot of Lerms. They're just they're sitting at each other, looking at each other. First Crucis Recon only has a 2 cap now, but it looks like they're pushing with their Annihilators. Looks like they just want this to happen, and both teams are pushing. This is gonna be a little rough for Cobra.
That is a CERM 6 LRM Adder. Alright, it looks like they are up here ready to brawl. The Bushwhacker pushing way ahead, just getting annihilated by those Annihilators. The Adder just jumping out saying, hey, no, I don't want any of that. Edward Scissorhands getting an early kill. Whoa, Red Eye taking out Azazel very quickly. Father Bill's getting shot in the back currently. Looks like he's ready to get him dialed in with those LBXs. So yeah, we've got an overheat from Voxera here. This is my costume.
They need to kill this Black Knight in the back, in their flank. Marshall Jim Duncan. He's doing work to them. They were able to isolate the group that pushed them. The Crucis Recon was. Crucis Recon. But they need to finish it. If they can finish strong here, refocus on the remaining targets and kill them, they're going to pull this out.
Yeah, they have a ton of Cord mechs here.
They forced the Mad Cat 2C down. That just leaves that Adder by himself, so he's going to go down. And now they just need to drop down together. They can coordinate that and finish off that Mad Cat 2.
It is 3 caps to 2. I mean, they're obviously not going to spread out and try and pull it into a cap game, but...
Yeah, they got this this healthy Annihilator just staring down this Mad Cat 2. And this is his ballpark. That just leaves Edward Scissorhands. Does it, or am I? Oh yeah, he's escaped. He didn't need that leg. He did need the rest of him though. All right, very clean.
Very
win.
Decisive win. Yeah, wow.
Nice job to the first Crucis Recon Razors. Way to pull that out.
So Cobra Command kind of again that folly of that missed time push. That one bird, 1238.
Wow.
Absolutely cleaned house. Wow. Dana Fowl getting caught out a little bit. But other than that, the damages are relatively close. You can definitely see who got focused by Cobra Command early here. But 4 double digits for Cobra Command. So, I mean, they definitely did not get the damage they wanted. Definitely did not close the ground they wanted. I would say that mistime push cost them huge. That Bushwhacker went in there and pretty much died for free, and then it was just one after another.
Yeah, that was really nice. I want to let's draw this for them. Let's put this up. Explain what happened there for the kids at home. Okay, so first Crucis, first Crucis. I gotta recheck how they told me to say it.
Call them the Razors.
Crucis. First Crucis Razors, Recon Razors. You know, Isengrim's just like one word. just want to
All
put
right,
that
dude.
out there.
First Crucis is the unit name, but the Razors is the MRBC team name.
Oh, okay. All right, I got it. So the Razors rolled up over into here, and they pretty much just took this position. And then you have the Cobra Command. They rolled around here, and they took Theta. They sat there for a second, and they decided they wanted to take this approach. Now, what hurt them was they split here. They had one group going this way and one group trying to get around that way, and there's just a lot of terrain. There's a lot of things here that are just going to prevent this group on the side from being able to shoot in, and this allowed the first Crucis Recon Razors to isolate the this push here, and they demolished it. They killed that push. They got some kills there that put them up ahead, and it allowed them to be able to turn around and then deal with the second push. And between those two reactions, it just destroyed Cobra Command. Now, maybe if Cobra pushed at the same time, maybe, or if they slowed down the initial push that came up to the top. I don't know what you're drawing, I'm afraid.
I mean, oh, that's not me drawing.
If they slowed this down, it would have gone a little bit better. But it's really a rough place to kind of push in, or if they just push together, their whole team. There's not a lot of room there though. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, you can see. Well, one CR kind of got clumped. I mean, it was an ideal brawl position for Cobra Command. But I think it was just the timing of their push. They were too far strung out, and they kind of slowly toppled one after another. It allowed their assaults to really take aim and take focus on a singular mech, and like half of them fought on the right side of the bridge, and then half of them fought on the left side of the bridge, and then we're trying to catch the flank. But again, by the time they had quote-unquote flanked, it was far too late. There was too many mechs dead, and it fell apart for them. They've had a very strong brawl showing so far, but I think that that little tentativeness kind of cost them.
Yeah, it is a rough place to brawl as well.
There's a lot of buildings. Yeah, a lot of places get split up from your team.
So when I brawl with my team, I always try to avoid fighting in and around buildings, which is really, what this is. And the reason why I do my best to avoid that is because when you get your team in buildings, it becomes incredibly hard to control the fight. You can't really manage it anymore. Your strategies are out the window. Anything could happen. People turn a corner and they get blasted. Focus fire falls apart. It's something that I have always tried to avoid. And I think most teams don't want to fight in buildings, don't want to get hung up on terrain. Which is what happened there. So let's say, what would you have done if you were Cobra Command? Sale, if we knew, they were grouped up there.
I think it would have been a matter of like, okay, let's get everybody up top. Okay. If we weren't able to bait them out and we knew they wanted to hold top, they weren't going to go anywhere. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that we would just take caps and let them push into us.
That's an important point because Cobra Command had caps. They had a 3 cap on them. So they
really had no reason to take that poor fight.
Exactly.
But I mean, if I was them and I wanted to do that push, what I would have done is I would have got my guys to kind of ball up and then work that left side together instead of trying to split flanks. It just gives them easy ways to target out, specific mechs. I like your 3, by the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit it.
No, the 3 is Gucci. You just gotta throw a 1 up for the Razors.
Oh. Gotta make a new one. Okay.
it looks like both our teams are ready here on Rubelite for their last drop.
Oh, I wish I wasn't so ghetto. All right, but yeah, let's do it. Let's see how this ends. Ba-dum-bum-ba. Ba-da. Da.
And we're launching. This will be the final match of the evening. Currently 3-1. 1 CR on a huge win. That was definitely probably felt pretty good for those guys. You know, they've definitely had a little bit of a rough time getting started here, but they definitely won that one. I would say in the mech lab. I think they were heavy, they were ready to rock, and they knew what they wanted to do. So it was good. It was good for them.
You know, if you were first Crucis Recon Razors, you'd feel really good too. Like, after that fight. No matter what happens now, I think going in and being able to pull out a strong win like that is the kind of thing that really, you know, propels your team to the next fight. Here is what we can do. Here's what can happen when things go in our favor. So, you know, let's look into the future about ways to make this happen more often.
Yeah, I think it reaffirms you. It makes you feel like, okay, you know, we're not here just getting wrecked, you know. We've got some plans, we're ready to rock.
Alright, so, from Cobra Command, where I happen to be at the moment, they brought a Mauler, they brought an Annihilator. What did they bring? What did they double?
I don't see a dupe.
They didn't bring a dupe. Kodiak, haven't seen a lot of Kodiaks used this season. Mauler's kind of interesting mech as well. First Crucis, Recon.
Just call them the Razors.
I feel bad I said it bad earlier. I want to get it right now. The
okay,
Razors. They doubled up on Annihilators. No surprise, since Annihilators really pulled through for them last time. They also brought a Mauler. Mauler's kind of an interesting mech to bring. Obviously, both teams brought it, so they think there's something to it. But I feel like you can probably get maybe a little more out of Marauder 2C.
Cobra Command snatching that sliver on Theta early, sending one of their lights up to Epsi to cap that, so they have the 3. 1 CR is rotating. Looks like they're taking the high ground. They're getting spotted out here, probably by Voxera and the Kodiak. Yeah, we definitely got some Daka coming in. Just kind of light scratch, nothing too big. Cobra Command is sending a light all the way around to Kappa to get that back cap and control 4.
Yeah, Cobra Command, they already got 3, so they're definitely doubling down on that cap strategy. It's going to be interesting though. It's kind of a smaller map. If caps are going to really matter, you know what I'm saying?
I think to some degree, with how heavy they are, they kind of will though. If they can isolate their lights, they're going to have a very hard time here. Taking these 4 caps back. Oh, Camo Man, catching Critter out in that Commando, woo!
That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt a lot. Although, here's the thing right now, with that other mech capping, which Crucis, oh gosh, which the Razors should see, it's actually a 6-on-8. So if the Razors realize that, which again they should because they saw that. Oh no, wait, they have guys at Epsi. They should have. If they, that's not too far, but if they reeled those guys in, that would have been the time to just jump on Cobra Command. They could have had a solid 6-on-8 fight, got those lights blowing out backs. There would have been 0 lights at the fight for Cobra Command, and it would have been just a great kind of moment for them to take. But that unfortunately didn't happen. However, Razors did force Cobra Command off the high ground, so if the Razors push up, they'll be shooting down on them, and it should be to their benefit.
Wolfgang is taking a ton of damage by these guys as well here, down to 46%. Edward Scissorhands
to kill that, yeah. Well, they did manage to kill
Warhammer.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate. He looked pretty healthy to me, didn't he? I didn't notice his health go down that much.
No, it might have been an XL.
So they're going underneath now. Who's he?
Maybe try and capitalize on those arm actuators on them. Maybe the Mad Cat here.
There's still, you'll see both teams are now capping. Both teams have lights out capping. Cobra's got a guy at Epsi, and the Razor's got a guy at Gamma. They really need see if they can finish it. Let's see if the Razor's got this. That Marauder, that Mad Cat 2C is completely out of this fight, though. He's
It
not
does
doing...
look like they're diving them right now here.
That's really hurting this battle, not having that mech available. However...
Stella's opening up relatively large lines on them.
Here we go. The Mad Cat Camo Man has finally arrived, stepping up in front, which is where he should be. That Orion is a tanky mech that they're fighting over there on the left flank. They did get it down. Stella, Starslayer, he got some support on that one.
Stella getting some fantastic back shots in here.
So now it's going to become the cap game now. Did that light return? Oh. Both lights are here. So Cobra Command has their lights in the middle of the fight. That's not where you want your light to be right now, especially if your only chance is a cap win. You want that light to be out in the stratosphere, taking other caps, uncapping the enemy, holding caps. But it looks like he's just going to stand his ground here and maybe kill a mech or maybe die. Which
I'm thinking probably maybe die. He doesn't have a lot of arms left. He's saying, "Take my strong hand, Father Bill." So again, a very decisive victory for these heavier drops for 1 CR. Like, they're looking very strong when they have that weight. A little more at home.
Yeah, that was a nice swing, and we saw Cobra Command didn't really change things up too much. I mean, this Orion, Annihilator, Warhammer. I mean, it's essentially a brawl kind of push deck, and it didn't work as well for them in these later drops. There's also some math, like we were doing some calculus that a good team captain should also be doing. Where are the mechs? How many mechs do I have on the field? Are they capping? Should I capitalize now? And or as we saw with Cobra Command, where are our pushes? Where are our mechs? It was an interesting kind of switch from the earlier matches where we saw them have a little bit of problems with that, but still come through with their brawls.
Yeah. And I mean, it's unfortunate that Critter got caught out. I think that very well may have twisted the favor back to them. Father Bill dropping almost 1,000 damage in the game. Their assault lance very strong. 700 damages coming out of those guys. So they definitely, their assault lance work together very well.
It's interesting that Camo Man, you won't be able to see this right now, but he did 685 damage in his Mad Cat 2, and he was actually out of a good deal of that the second kind of fight in the low ground because he was so out of position. But despite that, he still showed up, he still did damage, and he still made his team proud. I wish I had math so I could help these two teams kind of figure out how close this ended up being. But
I like that your one's backwards on the stream. That's so classy.
I'm glad. I'm a classy kind of guy. What can I say? Let's I'm going to ask them if either want to do a little after stream interview while I change my backwards 1 into a backwards 2. Why is it backwards? I don't know.
You flipped it in OBS. You need to grab it and then try and rescale it the other way. It should flip back.
All right. It's right now. It is correct. All right. Looks like they're good. That's fine. We don't need to. I don't need to. I was happy with that. Sorry, I didn't quite have this working yet, but one day I'll get it right. So
I feel like our 4th or 5th cast, it'll be money.
yeah, right. It was let's see. Let's pull this map up one last time. Briefly talk about what we saw at the end of the day. Wipe it up.
You guys were terrible.
Well, we just had so much personality last time we had to get. Oh, I can say damn it, right? Okay. So Cobra Command, they took this high ground. This is where they went, right? Up here. I think that's where they went. And then Team 2, which was the Razors, they rolled up into here. Does that look right, Assail?
I think so.
Yeah. And as they kind of made their move around here, that's where they cut out this light and they killed it.
Yeah, that is right, because this is, yeah, there's that little hole there.
That was a great pickup by them. You know, especially in a game where the Cobra Command had already decided they're capping. They've already committed to a kind of a cap win. That was huge. They rolled up here, and this is where the teams met up top. This is where I really wanted to see the Razors use the 8-on-6 advantage and just kill them, because while this was happening, you could see Kappa was counting down or up to a cap for the Cobra Command. So they knew they killed a mech over here. They knew that the other mech was capping, which means 8-on-6. I feel like they should have just jumped on him right then, got that win. Instead, they sent both lights down to Epsi. They just kind of traded a bit, and they forced the Cobra down on the low ground. You don't really want to be there, so that's still good positioning, controlling the high ground. And they just they followed them in, they dropped down, and they just fought it out and came up on top. The Annihilators, huge mechs, for the kind of fights that happened. Really good thinking on the Razors side for bringing those Annihilators.
What do you guys think about the Razors seem to do well with like more tonnage, and then vice versa for Cobra?
Oh, I think a little bit of that is going to be related to the timing in how Cobra was kind of playing in the lower weighted matches. When you attack and you have a drop or a push that isn't quite synced right, you know, that you can kind of fudge it a little bit because everybody's so fast, you know. They're going to get there soon enough. It'll be okay. But as the mechs get heavier and things are kind of miscued, that's where you get paid for it, because the slower mechs can't get there as quickly and they can't react to it as fast, and the miscue is open and available to be shot at for a longer time. So that's my analysis on that. How about you, Assail?
I think when they got on the bottom half and they got the kind of fighting on that corner, I mean, I've made the same mistake where you have 3 mechs trying to fight on one corner and they just end up kind of blocking shots and staggering each other. That very well may have been their downfall when they did drop, that they decided to try and kind of fight on that corner, and it just, when you're trying to do that, it's too hard. Like you have to be, you want multiple angles. And it kind of allowed that roughneck to get back shots. It allowed that roughneck to kind of, I think, surprise them too as they were moving.
So yeah, and let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, I can. This is fancy. So yeah, what we had, and this is exactly what we talked about earlier too in some other maps, is when they dropped down, the blue team kind of got in this corner here, and the blue team being Cobra, and the Razors, they were able to kind of spread out like that. It wasn't quite perfectly. They were a little bit more grouped here, but they did have mechs with angles there, and that really contributed to their ability to kind of win this fight, having all those different angles to shoot at the same mechs. And I think that's a little bit what you're getting with, right? And then you can't really see it on here, but there's like a bar right here, a pillar or something, and so They just really created these two lanes, a lane here and a lane here, that the mechs on the outside can just shoot into. And that is something you don't want the enemy team getting lanes on you, whether it be in buildings, whether it be in like on Frozen City or something, or here. Giving a team the option to just control lanes on you is just so painful, and we saw it didn't work here. I do wish that Mistlinks, when they realized they were going to lose that drop when there was like 3 mechs left for the Cobra Commandos, I wish that Mistlinks would have ran out and tried to maybe do some cap control, do something about it. Probably wouldn't have done a lot, just because the amount of mechs the other team had up, but there was a chance that maybe something could happen there for them. And
yeah, they may not have won it on tickets, but I mean they were almost up to 500, so they were definitely closing that ticket game.
Yep. And yeah, I think that's all I got. How about you guys?
I think it was a very interesting series. I didn't see it going back to 1CR so heavily, so strongly. I think, like Harkinian brought up, that weight was an issue for Cobra Command because it did kind of string out their guys, and then once that happened, it was easier for 1CR to pick apart Cobra Commander's misplaced mechs. That kind of seemed to be the theme through the 4th and 5th drops, so...
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't have too much to add. I think it was a really good series for Div G. I think these guys definitely showed a lot of talent on both sides, and I'm looking forward to seeing more stuff from them.
I mean, I have to agree, and really for both teams, this is the best case scenario to keep both teams, feeling good. You have Cobras who came in there, who won some matches, who definitely demonstrated that they're here to stay, that they're contenders. But at the same time, you had the Razors show up and win some at the end too, so that both teams are walking away kind of feeling like winners. And that's really what, I mean, obviously both teams wanted to 5-0 the other one, but for us, for neutral parties that want everyone to be happy, I think this is probably about the best case scenario. I don't have the math with me because this thing is not working, but the important thing I want to bring up is that the Razors won both of the bonuses in the last 2 maps, and the Cobra Command only won the bonus in the 3rd map where they destroyed the command mech. So with those bonuses in the other 2 drops, it's probably going to have these 2 teams have very similar scores. They're neither one's blown out. I think Cobra, having gotten the commander kill, will probably still be ahead of the Razors, but it's going to be a lot tighter than just one team won, one team lost, which is one of the great things about MRBC. So yeah, I think that's good. I appreciate everybody who came and watched. I appreciate both teams for competing, and I hope everybody doesn't hate us.
Yeah, I hope there's way less rage this time. We tried to keep it spicy, tried to keep it nice.
I know we were boring.
Well, you can't win them all, right?
All right. Well, I'm going to talk to people about this overlay control, and maybe the next time that'll work. Right?
Yeah, I think D4 was asking us to shoutcast them on Saturday, so maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll give it a 3rd try.
Yeah, 3rd time's the charm. That's what it's.
That's what they say. So
it's gonna be off the hook. All right. Well, this is Dane, and you are
Assail the Angry.
And do we have a little bit of Harkinian here too?
Yeah, a little touch.
A little bit. We're signing off. So
take care, guys.
Good night.